Welcome everyone. This is the Art for Everyone podcast, where we have an artist and his friend that's not really in the art scene but learning, is on his journey, and I feel like that journey has taken us a long way from the start of this one. Thank you. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, we're 20 episodes in, so I feel like you're kind of becoming a little bit of a pro, Vinnie, with all the experience and the knowledge that you've gained over time. You know, the lowbrow art is your favorite thing now.
It really is. I think that's the best thing. Thanks for reminding me. Do you want to talk about our sponsors and then get into our guest today?
Yeah, so today our guest is the Ballusionist. So we'll talk about that, introduce him in just a second. But I do want to give a shout out real quick to our sponsors. Sparks Gallery, one of the galleries that I love working with here in San Diego. Sonia Sparks is now offering a program where she's giving guidance to artists. So if you're interested in talking to a gallerist about how to get into that type of the business, you can reach out to her. I also want to give a shout out to our other sponsors, Start Shows. So Sophocles was a guest a little over a week ago, and we had a great talk. We did a live feed, so you can check that out too. And now I would like to introduce our guest, the Ballusionist. Now, Brian, how do I pronounce your last name? I think I have it, but I'm always worried I'm going to butcher it, so I kind of let people give me the name. Can you hear us?
I'm getting a lot of feedback. Okay.
Can you
hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Oh, there it is.
Do you have the YouTube channel open by chance?
You know what? Oops. I pulled a rookie mistake. Thinking I was on a radio show for a minute. Had the listening to the live and then going, oh, when do I jump in? Last name is pronounced Potvin.
Okay, so Brian Potvin, and you are a little different from. I mean, we always have different types of guests on here that do different things, but you do something that's really kind of different. Like, you do these massive balloon sculptures, some really, really intricate stuff that, as a full-time artist, I find it interesting to look at what you do, these massive creations from pop culture, some things that you just decide you want to do on your own, but some of them almost have like this functional quality. So can you tell us a little more about what you do and who you are?
So what I do is I pretty much, if my client comes to me and says, I need this, and I go, okay, how big? And I mean, literally, sky's the limit. If they're willing to pay, sky's the limit. But most of the time they go, let's bring it down a little bit more like this, more like that. And they will say, you know, I want squid fighting a whale, or I want Frankenfurter from Rocky Horror Picture Show. You know, and I tell all my clients too, don't be shy. Feel free, ask whatever you want. I can make it.
So do you like the challenge being thrown at you of, like, when somebody gives you something really intricate or really maybe difficult that's out of the realm of what you've done? Do you like the challenge?
Yes, absolutely. One of the most challenging balloons I've ever made was Tungus from AMPM. So AMPM, you know, the gas station, their mascot is Tungus, which stands for Too Much Good Stuff. They approached me. They said, Tungus is having his 1-year birthday party. We'd like to make a giant balloon of Tungus. Can you do that? And me being a classically trained actor, you know, going in the old acting scene, being from LA, I was like, of course I can. And I had no clue how to make Tungus, but I went home and I looked at Tungus and I just studied it little by little, went bracket by bracket by bracket by bracket, just going down the line, going, how can I dissect just this part? And how can I dissect just this part? And how am I going to go about making that? And I just bought $1,000 worth of balloons and then just put it all together. It took 5 days, 12 hours a day. I had to hire another artist to help me out. And that's the other thing too. I can't exactly just go, hey, I need an artist over here, a balloon artist. They have to have a specific skill in order to help me. And not a lot of balloon artists possess that skill.
Well, and you just touched upon something really big and important too. It's when there are opportunities in the art world, you have to factor in your costs of materials. Yes. And you just mentioned $1,000. And I'm not going to say that I knew what your costs were going to be, but like that number, I'm like, oh, wow. So there's a substantial amount of cost just in materials. So I imagine you probably have to factor that into the equation when you do these big jobs. And are sometimes people surprised when you throw out numbers? Because I know what the fine art and the paintings, sometimes I tell people what my work costs and they're like, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah. I get that quite a bit. That's why when I see your posts, I go, I can identify. A lot of times they'll say, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. I go, perfect. That'll be $15,000. For what? What do you think? I go, one, okay, the materials, depending on where you get them from. I get mine that are made here in America. They don't contain any lead. They're made of tree sap. They're biodegradable. So of course I'm working with more expensive material than the other average balloon artists. You know, they can get it from there's other places, you know, Mexico, China, Europe. Some of the stuff that comes out of Europe is not bad, but I worry that they're following US lead laws. So that, but mostly it's time. Time is what goes into it. Time of designing. Just whenever a client says, hey, I want you to make me this, I have to stare at that thing for days, if not hours, you know, and just go in my mind over and over, how am I going to build this? And if you've ever seen The Big Bang Theory,
Yes.
Sheldon does this thing where he's doing an equation. He's just like, literally, that's me. I can't put my hands on a balloon just yet. I can't build this little thing. I just pretty much have to design it in my mind over and over. And then when time comes, boom, go.
And I mean, for me, as a painter, and I feel like my work is a little different, but I'm a painter. And there are a lot of painters out there. But balloon artists, I don't feel like there's as many. So you mentioned like the competition and what your competitors would charge. How big is that market? Like how big is that side of the industry? Because it's a medium that it seems like, at least from my experience, I haven't seen a tremendous amount of people that I've come across on Instagram that do what you do.
Yeah. My little market, it's kind of small compared to, like, if you compare me to birthday party clowns, stuff like that, that's dime a dozen. They're on every corner. And mind you, I do birthday parties. I got to pay the bills somehow. But for the large scale sculptures, there's me, there's a guy out of Canada, there's my buddy down the street, there's, you know, but it's a handful of people. And sometimes you get that whole, you know, oh, I see you got the Geico commercial. Thank you. I'm happy for you. There's a lot of that too, because it's not like, if I see a balloon in a commercial, I'm like, ah, they went to this. Yeah, probably that guy.
Oh, so you can pick it out. You can recognize the work.
You can recognize the work. You can recognize the technique. You can recognize, like, I don't use a lot of marker work. I don't use a lot of glue. I don't use a lot of the stuff I do is the only, I guess you can say I'm a purist when it comes to balloons. The only time I use is like maybe a pole and a base plate. That's it. Like if you look at my Tunga sculpture, it's a pole and a base plate. That's it. Everything else is completely balloons.
That's interesting. I never even thought about, and of course, because it's not a medium that I'm super familiar with, all the things that go into it, that it's beyond sometimes just the balloons, that there may be certain things for building like those sculptural elements, because you do have to sometimes probably have some rigidity. Because for those that haven't seen your work yet on Instagram or on your site, you do some absolutely massive work that, like, I'm probably exceeding 20 feet, I would imagine.
Right. There was one time I approached, this is Transformers 2 came out. I don't know if you could tell I'm a Transformers fan. So Transformers 2 Revenge of the Fallen came out. I got hired to be a balloon expert on a TV show. It was a reality show. And I was in talks with Paramount at the time. And I said, hey, I got an idea. I will make you Devastator out of balloons. And it'll be 2 stories tall. And they go, really? I said, yeah. And I go, please, I don't want anything. I just want to do this for promotion. I'm like the Ace of Cakes guy, but out of balloons. And I just want tickets to the premiere. And so now, mind you, that sounds like a pretty good deal, right? You get a free goddamn balloon, free giant sculpture of the thing that's going to come out in your movie. And you're walk the red carpet and there's this giant balloon. Win-win, right? Paramount's like, well, let me talk to legal. Well, as long as you pay us royalties for the amount of money you're going to make selling this photo and all that, well, it's been an honor talking to you. Have a good day. Hung up the phone. I was like, wow, Paramount, you're really okay. All right. And you know what the worst part was? They went to freaking Ace of Cakes and they got a goddamn bumblebee cake.
It's crazy how, like, sometimes it's the people with the most money that will try to scam
Oh,
the most out of you or get you to work for free. Or in this case, you were willing to work for exposure plus just like, let me come to the premiere.
correct.
And they want to take money from you off of
Sure.
that using
They're
the
not
fruit
wanting from
of
you.
your own work.
Yeah. So, and I'm assuming, and I'm kind of upset that I didn't think about this, but this is what they thought, that I would take photos of the balloon and I would sell the photos. And I'm like, huh, should have done that years ago. Yeah, now I rarely ever take a great photo of a balloon. And like I said, anything that I put, it's on Instagram, and it's literally, it's me there before the client chews me out. You know, it's like, hey, you signed an NDA, get out of here, kid.
Yeah, I mean, I was curious if there would be like a secondary market, like for me as a painter doing canvas prints. Sometimes I can turn it into apparel, but with what you do, I wasn't sure if there was a secondary market, and that was something that I was thinking about earlier. Was the temporary quality of your work that it takes so long to create, to put together, but the life on it is limited to the life of the balloon.
Wherever it's set up to. So way back when, talking about maybe 2010, I've been doing balloons since 2002. As I mentioned, I did birthday parties, I did corporate events, I did company picnics, you know, all stuff like that. And I really wanted to expand that medium and go, I'm not just a balloon, you know, maker. I can make these sculptures. I can do this. I can do that. And I would approach art galleries, and art galleries are like, no, we can't sell your stuff. There's no lifespan to it. It's like, oh, that's great. That's cute. But, you know, I love your work. You're fantastic. You're talented, but I can't sell it. And that was when that was my first introduction to the art community. It was like, oh, well, they can't make money off of me. They don't want me. So I just went on, forged my own path. I've only been in one gallery, Gallery Nucleus in Alhambra, California. They had an art show just for balloons. I was invited by another artist, and he said, listen, we're finally being allowed into an art gallery. And I go, really? Well, I thought they only want to make money. This, and he's like, they're charging admission. I go, oh, okay. So they charged $20 per person to get in to check out these life-size balloon sculptures. And I built a giant, I think about 16 or 17 foot Voltron. And then that guy invited Paramount to the premiere. And they came and they were happy to see this giant sculpture. I'm like, Paramount. So, oh, I'm sorry, it was DreamWorks. Oops.
Okay, so not Paramount. Okay, yeah.
Not Paramount. I'm sorry, I was trying to remember. I'm like, who puts out Voltron? No, Paramount puts out Transformers. Voltron is DreamWorks.
Yeah, because Paramount metaphorically popped your balloon.
Yeah, exactly. But DreamWorks, a few times they've tapped me to do some stuff.
Well, and the art gallery thing's interesting because I could actually picture, whether it be inside or outside. I mean, obviously it's a different animal than selling a painting, but
Yeah.
the intrigue of seeing your work, and then the way that galleries would be able to make money off of you would be the commission opportunities.
Mhm.
But the difficulty, I think, with that would be the standard commission rates of galleries being 50%. Your profit margins would have to be initially high enough that it would account for that 50% plus your cost of materials, because galleries don't want you marking up. But if I was to pass by a gallery and see what you do there, it would draw me in more than other galleries.
Yeah.
Because it's something that's a little bit different. So I feel like, you know, like I always have that conversation with galleries where a lot of times they'll say, oh, well, you know, make sure that your work kind of fits with the other artists. But as an artist, we're not supposed to be fitting in. We're supposed to be standing out. You're supposed to be doing something different.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way that I've always done things, is try to look different from the other artists there. So I'm not always part of the dialogue or the conversation that everybody's having of the right here, right now. But I mean, isn't that what art's about? It's about doing something different, not what everybody else is doing.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's what blows my mind too, when people try to say, oh, you should do more what this person's doing. You should do more what that person's doing. I go, well, they're doing it. I don't want to do that. And for instance, like I do balloon cosplay. That's my thing. Like I love, I'm a big nerd. I love comic books, movies, and I love attending conventions. And I remember I would dress as the Punisher. Now, mind you, I'm a Punisher fan from being a kid, not the current Punisher fan, which is those people. Don't lump me in with them. So I would carry these prop weapons, and I would, walk around these, trying to look as accurate as possible with these heavy weapons. And I said, what am I doing? I'm missing an opportunity. I'm a balloon artist. I should just make these weapons and carry, and I won't be as tired or sweaty from carrying these things. So I started doing that. And then people started lumping me in with like, well, wait a minute. Wait. We're the balloon community. You're supposed to be making dogs and swords and flowers and stuff like that. What are you doing making weapons? I'm like, I'm an artist, and you do you, I'll do me.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely different. I mean, I could almost picture you doing something like that for someone like Vinnie, like maybe real estate is a market to tap into, because it definitely attracts an audience. Like what you do
definitely
captures the eye, it captures the imagination. I could picture like an open house. Vinnie, you could have this giant balloon sculpture of whatever you can imagine to right there to greet people.
I got one better. So just you saying real estate will create a balloon family. We'll have a balloon dog in the living room. We'll have a balloon furniture, balloon TV, balloon, all this stuff, and like make it look like something from the 50s, or I don't know, something cutesy as you walk in, kind of like a Disney style. Like this is the wave of the future. This is the way, stuff like that. That's pretty interesting. I like that. I mean, I've always wanted to do. I'm going to say this, and probably someone's going to do it. This is what happens whenever you say something. I wanted to do an art show, but again, art galleries only want to make money based on your art. But I wanted to do one for the Wounded Warriors Project, where I made a bunch of veterans who've returned, but they were disfigured. They were, either blinded or missing an arm, missing a leg. Raise awareness of the people serving in our military and what they're going through. But of course, when you say I'm a balloon artist, immediately I'm like, oh, you make the little balloons? Oh, that's so cute. It's like, no, I'm an art. Okay, I'm an artist that works with balloons. Does that make it sound better? I don't know. So
yeah, I mean, it's your medium, but I definitely think that, like many things in the world that we live in, you hear a certain term and you already have an image of what it is, this preconceived idea of what it is.
Yeah.
And like once I finally went to your page and looked at what you did and saw the breadth of your work, like the variety and the costumes and the stuff that could fit corporate environments and things like that, there really is an artistry to it. It's like just like a painter or a sculptor or a photographer, like this is just your lane. You just have an unconventional medium, which I think is a beautiful thing. And to be one of only so many people that do that, where many of the mediums are oversaturated, I think that's a cool thing. I think that's a cool place to be. And I feel like it leaves a lot of opportunity there, but you may have to drive the opportunity because people may not know the possibilities that exist for them.
Every time I bring up what I do, the follow-up questions are, can you do this? Can you do that? Yes. Can you do? Yes. I mean, literally, just that's the follow-up question. There's no, every so often I'll get somebody that actually wants to go into my history and be like, oh, did your father do this? How did you get so good at this? Like, I don't understand. And I said, well, I always wanted to be an artist. As a kid, I drew, couldn't draw. My drawings look like that Tesla truck. That's what my drawings looked like back when I was a kid. I tried sculpting, couldn't sculpt. I tried painting, couldn't paint. All of that stuff. So I did what any other artist did. I decided to do theater. I can't draw, can't sculpt, can't paint. Theater. Here it is. Acting. Thank you. But through acting, I found balloons. I answered an ad that said actors wanted. And I was like, well, that would be me. And went down there and it said, okay, great. Can you fit into that Spider-Man costume? I'm like, what? What is this? Am I going to be Spider-Man? No. You're going to go to kids' birthday parties. You're going to make 3 balloons, 3 face paints, and you're going to do the magic coloring book trick with the magic wand. This is an outrage, sir. I'm a classically trained actor. How much does it pay?
Yeah, for real.
So the person that hired me said, if you want to make more money, get better at doing balloons. And of course, when you're waiting for your scene, when you're waiting for your class, when you're waiting for anything, you're either learning to block, learning your dialogue, you're learning this. I started doing balloons just to pass the time. But while I'm waiting, I'm like, I just kept getting better and better at doing balloons. And I would practice. And I would say that it was all that practice that helped me get better to the point where I mean, mind you, I left theater school. I got a real job. I did the real job for 6 years. Wanted to shoot myself. I was bullet in the brain. I'm a performer. I want to go out and perform, which is why to this day I still do birthday parties because I love performing. And I was miserable doing a 9 to 5 sitting. I was doing accounting, by the way. Went from this to this. So my girlfriend, my wife now, says to me, you know, what would make you happy? I said, doing balloons. I actually love doing balloons. I can't sculpt, can't paint, can't write, can't do nothing. But for some reason, these balloons speak to me. I don't get it. I'm able to just get right into it and see this long balloon and go, it can be this, it can be that, it can be, you know, and then I look at round balloons and I go, I wonder what I can do with round balloon. Round's such a weird shape. We'll go Monet with it. Let's go just start sticking them into little pots. Let's do this, let's do that. Okay, let's go now. And I don't add paint to the balloons like I used to, but some of the balloons that I did back in the day when I would add, like I made a Wall-E sculpture, Disney's Wall-E, the little robot short circuit remake thing. I spray painted it brown so that it would look like it was dirty. One of my favorite sculptures, but it didn't last.
None of them do, though, do they?
No, sadly, no.
Now, Vinnie, you do a lot of, I mean, you have your open houses, you do a lot of special events for your clients, things like that. You've probably been to other events. You go to the Padres games all the time. You ever see anything of this nature or ever tried using anything of this nature?
I mean, I'm soaking this stuff in. You guys have definitely a lot of energy today, so it's been very difficult for me to say anything. So that's why I haven't really said anything. But I mean, I haven't seen this stuff, and I don't really know what the life expectancy of an art piece would be, right? I mean, so I hear what you're saying. Okay, I hear what you're saying, a lot of stuff, and there's probably been a couple times that I would have chimed in, but I think the biggest question probably anyone listening is going to be like, well, you buy this piece, you buy like an art piece from Michael, right? And that piece is going to stay on the wall for a extended period of time. You buy an art piece, which is a premium, which it sounds like, right, for you. And how long is that truly going to last at your house, right? It's going to be more of an event, a picture of the art piece that you're going to be really keeping. So that would be, I think, for anyone listening, what's the life expectancy of that art piece?
Yeah, that, and well, the other thing too, it's a lot of people that hire me, they're trying to make a quick point. They've got like I said, movie premiere. They've got a commercial, TV show. Yeah. So I wouldn't really. The only thing I would do for, say, somebody in your industry, Vinnie, is I would do like maybe an arch. And my realtor, for instance, she purchased an arch for me recently, and that arch lasted a month. And she was even like, "Come get it. It's driving me crazy. This thing won't die." And I said, "Well, I'm very good at what I do," and I strung it together so that it would last. I love you. Thank you for getting me this house. But one of the twisted sculptures, a couple of my clients, same thing. They said at last, it just depends on where it's at. So direct sunlight, it's going to pop. Freezer, it can last up to 4 years.
But that would also be, I would think, someone would think about, right? Because you're in California. Where are you located?
Los Angeles.
So I mean, that's another thing that I could think of, is that we're so sue happy here in California that someone might be like worried that, hey, if that pops, it hits someone in the eye, and now they're going to basically sue on that aspect of it, right? So I doubt that ever happens, right? But like, you got to think that when the attorneys involve bigger companies, right? That's what they start thinking about.
I want to address that real quick. So as I mentioned, I do birthday parties. If you contact me and say, hey, you want to come to my kid's birthday party, I'll double check, make sure. If I can't do it, one of my team members will. But anyway, whenever somebody approaches me for a balloon for a small child, it used to say on the bag of balloons, not suitable for anyone under the age of 3. Okay. They have since raised that to under the age of 8, which means some 7-year-old choked on it or got popped or something like that. So anyway, being from LA, born and raised, I hand these balloons off and I say, I'm handing this to the mother or father. By handing it to you, you absolve me of all liability because you chose to give it to the child. Have a great day. And I've actually gotten bad reviews on my Yelp page because of that.
Oh, wow.
Brian's quirky sense of humor didn't seem to hit home with this family. And I was like, oh, no, because of the whole legal aspect of it. I thought that's pretty funny.
I mean, you're a performer though, and like that's part of your artistry, and that's got to be such a tough thing because it's like at some point, like you know what you're getting, you got to take responsibility for it. Now, me myself, at 40 years old, I could picture myself choking on one of your balloons, so they may need to say 41 plus now. Like if you made one and gave it to my roommate and I was playing with it, like she'd have to yank it away from me because I would, try to swallow it or something like that. So like
we don't live in an age of personal responsibility anymore.
So when you factor in a piece, or factor in a job, how much, because do you have to factor in insurance and like protections for you and things like that?
I am insured, and yes, I do factor in insurance. I do factor in depends on the job. Like if you give me a job I got coming up. So number one, I'm insured, period. So I have an ongoing policy, period. You do a certificate of insurance, additionally insured for the location. So in the event that, so use an example of, there's a museum that I work with out of Pasadena. They ask for additionally insured. So I send that to them, and that's good for the ongoing policy. So in the unlikely event that a child does decide to bite down on a balloon, swallow it, choke, and they sue the museum, then obviously the museum's going to pass that on to me.
Yeah.
That is covered by the insurance. So yeah, you have to have ongoing policies. There's a lot of business side to the art community that a lot of people don't really take into account. So insurance is one of them. Accounting, the other. Invoicing, number one, invoicing. And then fine print on your contracts. Those are also very important things. So I'm glad you brought that up, Vinnie, because I'm sure a lot of people don't really talk about it. Have you guys talked about this on other previous?
Well, no, it really, you're from basically a novice, someone that doesn't know anything about art. You're, I think, the first artist that I could see people not complaining, but people saying that hurt me, except for a painting maybe falling on someone, or maybe we've had someone that has done like metal stuff before, right? Didn't we have someone maybe that falling or cutting them or something like that? But the balloon one, yeah.
I've heard it a couple times. I was at a restaurant in 2010. So one of the things that I do, this is 2010. I was like I just quit my job. I was pounding on every door. I was trying to do anything to make money doing balloons full time. I should mention, I do not have another job. I do this full time. I've been doing this full time since 2010. So one of the restaurants, Bob's Big Boy. I don't know if you guys have one in San Diego.
I've heard of it. I've seen a movie, I think.
So there's their logo is a boy holding up a burger, and I said, "Can I make you that out of balloons?" So I made him this giant Bob's Big Boy, life size, about 8.5 feet tall. And I said, "Oh, I'm going to put this here. I'm going to put my name down, let people know they can contact me." I go, "But honestly, I make balloons on your slowest night. Tell me your slowest night. I'll come in. I'll make balloons for a couple hours for dinner, and I'll bring in more customers for you." And they go, "That's a fantastic idea. Let's do that." All right. Well, one of the things that I do to kids 5 and above, I've learned not to do it to kids below 5, is when I pop a balloon, I hold on to a small piece of it. It's still inflated. And then I go, "Here you go. Hold that for me." And when the kid goes to reach for it, I let it go and it flies through the air. And I go, "Got you." And, the kid like panics at first because he thinks that I'm giving him a real job of holding this balloon, but then it flies away. As I mentioned, don't do it to anyone under the age of 5 because they will scream and start crying because they feel they failed you.
Well, I would too again, so.
So one day, that balloon hit somebody while having dinner. The manager comes over and goes, "Don't do that ever again." It hit one of the customers. They complained. They threatened them. "They're never going to come in here again." I'm like, "Yes, sir." So, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's like that. And then it's, some other stuff might be behind it. I believe this guy. Some people have balloon phobia. I can't remember the name of it. I can only remember the clown name. Colorophobia is clown one. But there's people that have it with balloons. They can't stand the squeaking, the fear of popping. So it could be those people. Like, I'm not eating here if that guy's there.
Michael, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like he's probably one of the most aggressive in a good way artists that we've had on the platform, because he's already talked about 3 or 4 times where he's reached out to a company about doing an art piece for them.
Well, I think that he's a performer, like you said, Brian. So I think that imbues within you this sense of confidence of being able to perform, of being able to play a character, put on a show. And I think it sounds like you recognize the necessity for you to drive things if you wanted to take this unconventional medium and find a way to make it work for you. Because like you said, you described what I felt in 2019. I was at a point where I was ready to give up on life. I was so miserable working for somebody else's dream. And I just said, you know what? If I'm going to die, if I'm going to fail, then what is the harm in me going all in and taking a chance on myself of doing what I want to do? Because at least if I fail in doing that, I'm going after what I want. Because when I was working for somebody else, I wasn't even going after anything that I wanted.
Just you were going through the motions. No, trust me, I felt that. I know that. I know that feeling. You're angry, you're sad, you're upset, you can't explain your emotions to others. I'm really sad and upset because I want to do art. Shut up, you. There are people, starving. There are people, you want to be an artist. Shut up. At least that's the environment I grew up in.
Yeah, and I mean, I tell people all the time now, like, because I have to be pretty aggressive in my promotion and my marketing because I depend on selling my paintings to keep a roof over my head. And so I sometimes have people say, you promote your work a lot. And I'm like, well, yeah, a lot of days like to keep a roof over and food on the table. So, if that bothers you, feel free to go elsewhere. But I'm going to do what it takes to try to do what I need to do in the street.
But you promote it and push it out there content-wise. But it sounds like you actually are picking up the phone and calling these companies like Paramount and DreamWorks or whoever, saying, hey, I want you to do it. Right? It's like a kind of people have a choice to mute your content, Michael. Technically they have a choice not to pick up your phone call, but I mean, once you get on there, right? I mean, it's I guess a little bit different, right?
Yeah, no, but the thing is I do that side of the business too. Like a couple weeks ago, I contacted over 100 companies and said, hey, I think my work would be great for your company, and I can bring a lot to the table. So I do that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, once I terminated the deal with my agency and I'm on my own again and I kind of have that freedom again, I'm like, okay, well, now the ball's in my court. I got to do it. And when business gets slow, it's like, you can't always wait for the opportunity to show up on your door. Like, and I'm sure it's the same in real estate. Like sometimes you find a way to
all the time. But I mean, I don't think we've ever actually talked about that here, about anyone actually like pushing. Because most of the people, I don't know, we've had a decent amount that were kind of like dealing on like almost like their confidence of their artwork.
Yeah. And I think most of them probably don't approach it as aggressively as I do, or maybe as Brian does. And for me, it's the necessity. I think even more like with what you do, Brian, I think that there's a market for you. I think that there's probably, and I don't know if this is the right word to say, but I feel like there's almost more of a need for what you do, or more of a desire for what you do on a regular basis than what I do. So I could definitely see like a market for what you do. And it's like, hey, if nobody else is doing it and you do the work to tap into that, the world is your balloon.
Well, keep in mind, thank you for that. I'm gonna steal that later. Keep in mind, yes, you have to be aggressive. One of the things I learned in theater school, you come in as an actor. You're like, oh, I'm an actor. This is my talent. Look at me. I'm pretty. Oh, is that? And you just sit there and you wait. You wait for it to happen. You wait for it to come to your doorstep. You wait for, you're the next Ryan Gosling. No, the theater school I went to was more, all right, you don't have a job today. You don't have a scene today. Go to Samuel French, pick up a script, learn a monologue, learn this, learn that. And you had to sit there and be ready at a moment's notice to pop out with a soliloquy, or pop out with a monologue, or pop out with a scene, be ready to jump into the scene partner. So then same thing in theater school, you're taught, go to the theaters. Are there any jobs? Are there any, hence why I answered an ad that said actors wanted. You look for whatever is paying, whatever is not paying. You look for exposure. You look for whatever it is can be. Now, mind you, fast forward, what I've learned in the 21 years I've been doing this, yes, I love making art. I love being artistic. Do I love everything that I'm asked to do? No. I've been asked to make like Hello Kitty sculptures. And I've been asked to make like, I'm trying to remember, but it's something that shouldn't take 12 hours. Should have taken me 3, but because I didn't want to do it, it took 12 hours. And I go, I don't understand why I can't do this. My wife goes, because you don't like that character. You don't like that sculpture. You don't like that. So you're swimming through mud right now. You're struggling to get it. And so one of the things that I do, I mean, 80% of my business is corporate clients. And so one of the things I do are your classic decor, columns, arches, helium balloons, which I don't recommend because it's so goddamn expensive right now. I do all that, and it's murder. And reason I'm bringing this up is I'm saying for you, Michael, I recommend going to like a community service or insurance company and saying, hey, this would look great in your lobby. This would look great in your elevator. This would look great in the hallway of the dental office or something like that. Like I would go to corporate areas, go to places that artists would never think to go. And that's what I like to do is go to places that I go to a lot of medical centers and say, I can make you a life-size nurse. I can make you you want to cheer up the kids. I can make a life-size giraffe or whatever it is. And I go from there.
Yeah. I mean, when you can't find the market, you create it and you try to tap into the things that other people haven't done. So going back to like what we were talking about with the gallery, it's like, I want to be the artist that's doing something different even in the gallery. And so my marketing approach is so different than a lot of the artists out there. But a lot of it comes down to that drive, like that hunger, that passion. And I think that Brian, maybe the reason that you have it is as an actor, you, I feel, are taught to be hungry, to have that starving artist mentality. And I say starving artist in a positive sense, because for me, like I've had to reshape that word. Like for me, starving artist means that I'm hungry for this dream, that I'm starving to make this work, and I'm willing to make the sacrifices to make that happen. And I'm a big believer that there's room at the table for everybody to eat. So I've kind of changed the entire mentality that I have towards that philosophy. But like that hunger is what makes me able to do what I do. If I didn't have this hunger, this intensity, or this passion, I don't feel like I would have made it this far. And like Vinnie, like you have that too. And I feel like when the real estate starts to get difficult, like the market's tough, I feel like that hunger, that drive, that conditioning in other aspects of your life probably helps tremendously in finding a way to navigate through the struggles.
For sure. So also, I'm trying to think of too that Brian might be the first guest we've had on here that doesn't make art to just make art, I guess, right?
I stopped.
Well, I mean, right, because like Michael, if let's say things are not going well for you, you can just go buy some paintings, buy some stuff, make it, and then sell a piece. But everything that you do, Brian, right, you have to actually get someone to pay for it before you actually do it, right?
Correct. So back in 2010, I was making sculptures I was making Joker, life-size Joker, cartoon style Joker, realistic Joker. I was making Transformers. I was making this stuff because I was trying to get my name out there. I was trying to push and say, look, and I would go to shops. I would go to places that I felt had the clients that I wanted, the clients that I think would get me. Like Los Feliz in my area is very, it's artistic. It's an artistic neighborhood. Two, there's a lot of actors, a lot of people that work in the industry. So I'd put my stuff up there in hopes of getting more and more work. Now I've reached the point where, I stopped doing that. I don't really do it for fun anymore because it's a job. Now I wake up this morning. In fact, before I got on the podcast, I had a deadline. I had to get my stuff ready for tomorrow's delivery. And so one of the things that I do, again, for corporate, they want setups at 7 a.m., 6 a.m. sometimes. So I got to get up at 3. Make sure everything's taken care of, make sure everything's ready to go. I arrive, set up, I get out, and I'm back. I have the rest of the day to myself, but of course I'm very groggy that day. But I forgot where I was going with this.
What do you because again, this is recapping some stuff we already talked about, Michael, but you get a lot of your emotions out in your painting, right? And people buy it off emotions because they relate. We've talked about this multiple times. For you, Brian, what do you get enjoyment out of? Because you said sometimes you don't even like the pieces, so you're taking longer to do it. So it sounds like it's work more than actually like pleasure.
It is a lot of work now. It is a lot of work. And I do crave challenges. I have one client that loves to challenge me, and I love working with her. Absolutely, she's a pleasure. She has asked me for a bong. I'm talking larger than life bong. She sent me the specific bong. I've had people ask me for like weed leaves, and I'm like, I have to figure out how to make this shape I've had people, ask me for, trying to remember, but yeah, like some of the stuff I don't want to make. I don't. It's like princesses. I'm like, okay, I can do it. I'll do it. But yeah, it's more work than artistry. I mean,
the challenge gets you release it. Like, I mean, still gives you pleasure, it gives you happiness, right?
And then the thing is, when I set it up, and then I see the person's face, just like, oh, like that. That's when I'm like, yeah, I did it. Yes. And then that's sort of.
Even if it was a 50-foot princess, something that you didn't want to do, I can imagine that making that would still be exponentially better than going and clocking in for somebody else.
Oh yeah, 100%. But here's the thing that you're not taking into account. Okay, so one, while I'm building, the thought on the back of my head is always, what if she doesn't like it? What if they don't like it? What if they're, and this is also probably classic actor type mentality. Oh my God, I'm bombing right now. Oh my God, the audience is not gasping at a line that I just said. Oh my God. So in the back of my head, I'm like, what if they don't like this? What if they don't? And so literally it's just anxiety until I set it up and put it up there. And then I've literally had this happen where a client requested a giant dinosaur, but they also wanted these letters with the dinosaur. And they had to look like, the P doesn't quite look like a P to me. It looks anorexic. And I was like, so I start panicking. And I think that's what it is. I'm worried. It's not so much that I don't want to do it. It's not so much that it's not filling my artistic need. It's more of the worry that am I doing a good job? Are they going to like this? And until I see their faces, I'm not quite happy. And I'm just, it's an uphill battle for me. I'm not confident in the piece, I guess you could say. I'm not confident I can make that one, but I'm going to do it.
Well, the internal dialogue that you just described is something that I very much feel when I am creating in the studio. But I had somebody ask me on YouTube the other day, they said, how do you feel about making the work that you feel versus making what somebody else wants you to make? And I said, well, if you're able to always make the work that you feel, by all means do that, because when you feel it, when the emotion's there, when you're connected to it, you're going to feel that energy in the work. And that's a great place to be. And I do that a lot. But in doing that, I recognize that, again, going back to the conversation of what fits in the gallery, sometimes I may be pigeonholing myself by not making the work that would be more viable in the market. Like I used to do German Shepherd paintings, and I know today that if I was to do the dog paintings and do dog portraits, that I could probably make millions of dollars. But that's not where my heart and my soul is. I'm an abstract artist. I like to go based off of emotion. And like, even now I approach corporate businesses and I say, this is the type of work that I make. I can do something for you. And it's very loose and I can play off of energy. I can play with different color palettes and whatnot, but ultimately this is what I do. So if a corporate company came to me and said, hey, well, we want you to do this big dog, I would still probably have to turn that down because it's just not what I do. Like I'm willing to bend, but I'm not willing to break. And again, I'm not saying that that's wrong for anybody to do. You know, some people may like to do it as a hobby. Some people may be just happy to be able to create. But for me, you know, on my journey, I have to find this balance because I have to have that level of connection and that emotion in it for me to do it.
But who would hire you? I mean, no, of course, take what you can get. But who's going to really hire you to draw them a dog when they know all your stuff is majority abstract?
You would be surprised what the general public will ask you to do. And I'm sure Brian can attest to that.
Oh, yeah.
Like no one's going to ask Brian, though, to paint a picture.
No, but I've been asked for some inappropriate balloons that I've had to make.
Oh, but Michael would do that for free, I bet.
That was probably me, Brian.
You're absolutely right, Michael. I also hate making dogs. So it's the #1 request.
So what's the way? Can you talk more about the inappropriate balloon?
Yes, and I want to know too. Was it something that you ultimately did, or did you say like no, like you don't do that?
So I was invited on a TV show, and it was on Comedy Central. Only lasted a season, and the way it was sold to me was that this comedian is interviewing people who don't, like they don't have normal jobs, and I was like, that would be me. And they go, okay, come on. So I went in there, spoke to this man for an hour. We had a wonderful conversation. It was comedy, everything. We were all playing off of each other. And he goes, all right, well, let's see some of the balloon work you do. And I had a dragon, I had a hot dog, I had I was trying to show like stuff you don't normally see out of balloons. He's like, can you make one of them? And I go, yeah, sure. How big? The biggest. And I have this balloon called the 646, which is it looks like a condom. Like if I bring it out, it looks like a condom. And I make this giant, penis. And I go, and he goes, really? Is that the best you could do? I go, no, I could add testicles, I could add hair, I could add veins, I could add semen spewing from it. He's like, do it. So I'm doing this whole thing, blah, blah, blah. And I go, there you go. All right, so mind you, now I was invited on this TV show. I was told I was going to be interviewed as an unconventional artist person who's got a job. And we did the interview. Now, when you watch the show, it says, this is Brian Potvin, Ballusionist. All right, show us what you got. And I make this giant penis, and that's it. I don't say a word.
So misrepresentation.
I had executives from balloon companies watch that show.
I'm laughing because that is serious. Because I mean, you do deal with a lot of corporate, and like me, I kind of walk the line of appropriate a lot of times with some of the things I do. Like I'm on OnlyFans, and it's like half a joke, but I do what I do, and I'm able to get away with a lot because I'm an artist.
Yeah.
But when you do get into the realm of doing more corporate stuff, you can potentially lose a lot of clients and a lot of relationships with the situation.
My client list is like a heart monitor, goes up and down, goes up and down. It's like 1 minute I'm working with this guy, next minute I'm working that guy. Next minute, I was doing a lot of stuff with prop companies pre-writer strike, and then I have yet to get any calls back. But I don't know if it was because I might have made the wrong balloon. Hangover 3. I was hired to be the balloon artist on that movie, and I went in there with confidence. They go, we want these simple, silly, inappropriate balloons. And we want to decorate the floor with the end of Hangover 3. They wake up from their hangover. I can't remember. It was Melissa McCarthy and Zach Galifianakis and Ken Jeong come through. He's got a machine gun. I made these wonderful works of art. This stripper, I mean, I'm talking looked anatomically correct. I made Zach Galifianakis holding his penis while urinating while holding a beer. And they go, okay, great. Can you make these silly balloons now? I go, oh, I'll make you better ones. I didn't get that the client was asking me specifically to make those shitty Vegas-style boulevard balloons that you would pay for $1. And I didn't get that. I get that now. So now when I get a call from props, I go, tell me exactly what you want. Because at that time, I was like, no, I'm an artist. I can do this. I can do that. Blah, blah, blah. Nope. Now it's, what do you want? How big? How tall? How wide? What? Got you. I'll take care of it.
So do you mean they wanted like a dumbed down, crappier version? Like yours was actually like too nice?
A 2-twist, just like a single shaft, 2 twists at the bottom for testicles. That's all they wanted. They wanted Vegas Boulevard style cheap balloons. And I just didn't get it. I went in there with an artist mentality, like I could do this, I could do that. And granted, they paid me, and I appreciate, I would have said, listen, asshole, this is what we asked for, and you're giving us this shit.
So did it make it into the movie?
It did. Well, no, the stripper did not. If you watch the end of the movie, there's a champagne tower in the very corner. You see what looks like a doll of Zach Galifianakis' face, and it's like a very tiny little thing. And I remember, and one of the things I learned in theater school was never tell anybody the work you did because your scene could get cut. And in the balloon community, I went, guys, I got hired to do the Hangover 3. Ah! And then everybody went to go watch it, and they go, I didn't see shit. And then one guy pointed out at the very end of the champagne tower, you can see a face. And they go, but it looks so realistic, you can't tell it's a balloon.
Well, I feel you on that, Brian, because I get so excited too when I do get the opportunities. Like I had signed with an agency a little over a year ago, and the deal is the agency came around because I was dealing with the corporate of a major company, 5,000 stores worldwide, and that company wanted to build an entire brand around me, but there were licensing and trademark issues. So they had worked with the agency for other artists. So by bringing in the agency, they could kind of play middleman and handle the trademarking so I wouldn't have to. And I got so excited because I was like, well, this is happening. I just signed with the agency that they brought to me. This is a done deal. I'm going to be making 6-figure royalties, and I'm going to be in 5,000 stores across the world, and my tattoo's going to be on things, and my name's going to be on things, and it's going to be makeup, and it's going to be products. So I started running my mouth, and I learned the lesson that you just described of until it is on the shelf, shut the fuck up.
Keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, because that ended up falling through. And, you know, I'm not going to say why. I have some theories of why it did, but like it was so heartbreaking to think that I was so close to being a household name.
Yeah.
And now here I am trying to make it day to day.
You know, so
starving artists, I go, we're starving artists because we're actually starving. We need to eat.
There's I mean, the same thing happens in real estate, but I still remember this. Someone was telling me the story. It was like a crazy big deal, like a development deal that he was closing. And I suppose he went out to dinner that night, popping like champagne. He was going to make, I mean, I think it was like $1 million, something like that. Like it was a crazy development he's going to close. And so everything was, I guess the money was whatever, and they're going to wire it. He was going to get the phone call at 5 o'clock. He got the phone call at like 3 o'clock tonight, or 4 o'clock. And he thought it was a phone call of it closing, and they go, it all fell apart. And he was already at the restaurant celebrating the win. And I was like, bro, that's right. You never celebrate anything.
Keep my mouth shut. I do what I got to do. And then I actually did this to the balloon community recently. I pointed out, hey, how come this guy always brings up all the TV shows that people are in, but never brings me up? And then I said, I feel like this group lacks diversity. And then, oh man, I got arrows in my back and all this stuff. And then, and it turned out, no, nobody saw. Everybody kept screaming, oh, well, we don't watch Netflix shows. I'm like, right. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I didn't want to say anything until that actually aired. And then when it did air, I was like, well, look what I did, guys.
How do you, I mean, because I think you already talked about it a couple times, but how do you, is it just a balloon artist, or is there a particular terminology?
No, it's balloon artistry. I mean, you got people in the industry, depending on the level they're at, they will say they're a balloon artist, they're a balloon master, they're a twist ecologist, they're
you should be a balloon sorcerer or something like that.
Yeah, and so I came up with the term balloonist because I was, prior to doing balloons, I was doing magic. So graduated from acting, found this company that hired me, taught me a few magic tricks, taught me a few face paints, and I'm talking like the worst ones. The stuff like if a homeless guy went to you, you'd be like, oh, that was entertaining. He was a homeless guy. But they would send me to, you know, like these high profile clients. And I'm going, this is embarrassing. Why would you make me, this is awful. I started calling myself the balloonist because I was a balloon magician. So I would do balloons for an hour and a half, and then I would do a magic show at the end. And my hands started failing because I was getting so good at balloons. I was making these big, intricate balloons at birthday parties and corporate events that I couldn't do the magic show anymore. I couldn't do the sleight of hand. I couldn't do, so I just nixed the magic show, and I would just outsource. I would hire a magician to come in, but I would remain the balloonist. And so then people started thinking that other people who made balloons were called balloonists. And I said, no, I'm the balloonist. And I go, that's a twister. And so the common term is twister, somebody that makes balloons by twisting. But I make art. So I'm a balloonist.
So how do you, based off of movies, based off of TV shows, I mean, or based off of news, I don't know, but what's your interpretation of how people see your, I guess, group of people? And like, is there a negativity? Is it positivity? Is it what? I mean, how do you, like, what's the interpretation of it, I guess?
It's bad. It's all bad all around. So one, I'll give you an example from, I used to do a restaurant, 2011, Caro's, I believe was the name of the restaurant. And I was doing balloons, and I'm going around table to table and going, hey, you know, these don't cost me money because I get the restaurant to pay me. So this is not going to cost you anything. And I go, here you go. Here's a free balloon. And this guy says to his granddaughter, he's like, all you have to do is go to prison and you come out and you can do balloons. And I go, excuse me, sir. What? Well, you're a clown, right? I go, so you think all clowns come from prison? What were you in prison? How did you learn this? And so basically I just started attacking him, going, what? So clowns do balloons? And so, yeah, so people, they associate balloons with clowns. And mind you, I was a clown at one point because I associated balloons with clowns. They associate balloons with clowns. Then when they see you doing balloons, they assume that you're the dog and sword guy. You're just make them a little dog. It's like, no, I mean, literally, when I'm hired to do a birthday party, I'm almost like, if they hired me, they kind of knew what they were going to get. I walk in like a minotaur, just, no, you're not going to get a dog and a sword. I'm going to make you a custom work of art, and you're going to like it.
So what's your pricing compared to other people in your field? Then it has to be more expensive, then, right?
Yes. On average, $200 an hour, and minimum 2 hours. So, and then plus if there's a drive involved, then yeah, there's a fee for the drive.
And what are most people, like 100 or 50 then, or what?
No, it's actually worse.
Oh, wow.
There's actually a guy in Seal Beach that will stand on the corner, make balloons for $1, and then says he'll charge $100 or 99, because the old marketing trick, if you're paying 99, it's a deal. It's not 100, it's 99. So he charges 99. He's doing like the dogs and swords, and goes up. So you've got that, but that's what you're getting. And then, mind you, people come to me and they go, because we want these giant creations you're going to make for our children. But then they also go, oh, well, they're just going to pop. So no, I'll go with the $99 guy. I'll go with the $50 student that is just starting up. I'll go with that guy. But
you know what? Good for you, though, because it goes back to what I say is that as artists, I could sell my stuff for $50, or I can say that it's $2,500, or I could say that it's $10,000. I decide what my value is, and you have decided what your value is. And when I came across your work, and I think it was first happened because I think you used one of my audios on Instagram, but I looked at your work and I recognized the artistry in there. And I don't want to say that I had a negative thought about balloon makers, but if I thought, like when you said, what is a balloon maker? I would have been like, oh, it's the people that I see out when I run in Balboa Park. And I don't have anything bad to say about the buskers and the people that do that stuff, because I respect all artists. People live in their passion, doing what they like. People love clowns. People love balloon makers. People love artists. But then when they talk about them in such negative ways, like oh, I'm an artist. Well, why don't you get another job? Or you're not making enough money because you're a starving artist and you don't work hard. Like, I work harder than just about anybody that I know. I work around the clock. What do you mean? Like, just because I don't punch a clock for somebody else, it doesn't count as work? Like,
100%.
People love me, but then they want to like bash me at the same time. So that's got to be tough. But I mean, there is absolutely an artistry to what you do. And I didn't know the breadth of your work or your repertoire, and like hearing the people that you work with and the corporate stuff. And you mentioned insurance, and we can talk about that too, because like, insurance is something that I do or have had to have, particularly when I do events. They do always want the certificate of insurance. Like there's the art walk here in San Diego this weekend, and if I was participating, I would have to have that insurance coverage. And I actually got a year-long policy for insurance because I figured that it would just kind of protect my business. It would insulate me a little bit. And I was thinking that when I had my traumatic brain injury this past year, that my inability to work might fall under the umbrella of my business insurance. And then I kind of learned the limitations of my business insurance. And it was basically like only if somebody comes over to my apartment and trips, that it would cover something of that nature. But maybe not even then. I was like, okay, what am I paying for this for? So I decided to get rid of the policy. But if I was to do a big corporate job that demanded it, I would either need to get a certificate of insurance, I need to purchase that, or I would need to contract somebody that would have that. But there's a company now called ACT, and it is insurance specifically for artists. And it is more cost effective than it is to use many other companies. So for artists out there, if you do need to get a COI for an event, you may want to look into this. Again, it's ACT, and you can get year-long policies from them that, from what I have seen, are significantly cheaper than other insurance companies.
So are they a sponsor of the show?
Is ACT the sponsor of the show?
Yeah.
No. I've actually reached out to them and been like, hey, we should maybe work together or have you come on, because the reason of the purpose of the show is to help support artists, provide avenues of making this viable, being able to make a living doing this. So I just try to share the information. So I would love to get them on to talk about insurance for artists, because when you do start getting into the realm of doing events and stuff, it is something that you will need, and you can get screwed if you don't know about it. And if you can save money by getting a long-term policy that covers all the things you need, that could be a good thing for you.
The reason I bring it up is you said it so well, you read it so well that I was like, they're a sponsor of the show. I won't say anything. But now that you were just mentioning it because you use it and you like the product.
I don't use it.
Well, I'm sorry, you don't use it?
I don't use it. I haven't used it yet. Right now, I don't have any insurance.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully you don't book anything recently that requires insurance.
Nothing.
Specialty Insurance Agency. I've used them for many years, and same thing. They fall under jugglers, fire eaters, face painters, balloon artists, balloon decorators. They cover that realm, and they recently, and I mean, talk about awkward. They got a letter because now if you perform at a school requires, what is it called? It's a specific name for an act, almost like a sexual harassment act. Like if you're inappropriate with a child, the school wants you to be covered now, stating that you're not, basically the school wants confirmation you're not going to touch their children. And it's like, I will sign every form that says, don't worry, nothing to worry about here. But now the insurance agency, our premium went up because they had to add that clause. So that means at some point, some other person down the line, and that's kind of what ruins it for people like myself in that area. That, that guy touched some kid over there. I'll bet you're one too. And I was like, no, asshole, I'm not. But specialty insurance agency, that's who I use.
How are their rates? Are they like, because I know that with what I was paying when I had my insurance, and I was using I can't even recall the name of the company, but it was like $500 a year. It was a pretty basic policy. Like, again, like I said, I thought it was going to cover certain things that it didn't. It was basically because I work from home, if people came in my studio and got injured, like it might cover that, but possibly not even that. So I'm like, I'm scraping to get by right now. So I'm going to let go of that because I'm not really doing a lot of events.
Yeah.
But if I was to do events again, I think I would look into that act, because I know that when I had to get COIs in the past, a lot of times if I just needed a COI, it's usually like $100. And I think act was like 75 or something like that. And I think their year-long policy would have been like 375 as opposed to like the 500 that I was paying.
So the average balloon twister's not making a lot of money. Like I said, they're doing farmers markets, they're doing busking, they're doing all that stuff. So their policy is pretty low. I think it's 265 or 285, somewhere around that area. And the COIs are free. So you just request, and they might even have the venue already listed on their thing. You just go click, put your name on, bam, it's covered. Most of the time, because of the venues I work for, I have to create a custom policy for them. And I list it as ongoing. So until my insurance expires, I'm covered at that location until the end of the year, or till I think my policy renews in April. So I got to pay my policy.
So, Vinnie, what type of insurance do you have to have for your work? Because I mean, as a business, I'm sure you have to have insurance, but like, what's the liability for you if you have open houses or things like that? Because I can imagine there's probably been cases where somebody goes to an open house, somebody trips or falls down the stairs or does something stupid.
Do you require full coverage? Yeah, that is interesting. I want to know that.
Now, for the most part, we have just like E&O insurance, things like that, to deal with the process. The insurance for a property, it's, I mean, the liability, I mean, for the most part, how I understand it, I'm not an attorney, is on the homeowner, right? So it's kind of being in good faith. I know, like, the action of people were giving out alcohol at like open houses, and I guess there's a legal thing about that of like, it's like serving people at a bar.
Yeah. So the rules behind that are you have to give it away for free. You cannot charge.
But even then, I thought, I mean, our legal department was talking about, this was like a couple years ago, was that even if we're giving it for free, you have to be careful about that, because if someone gets in a crash, you can still be sued.
So you brought up a good point. So now, if let's just say I want to sell my house, I have to have a better policy in order for somebody to come in, and if they trip, they could sue me. I've got to have that policy that covers that. Because if I've got
there was stuff in the past where we had to, like when COVID was happening, we had to send documentation that the people that are coming into the property, we had to have the signs too, we're taking the risk of going to the property, safety, blah, blah, that kind of stuff. But we don't have anything particular of going into the property now.
The other thing I'm dealing with right now, Vinnie, you probably are aware of, is we're in California, and most major insurance companies are trying to pull out of California.
Yeah.
So I'm having major issues getting insurance on my house. Oh, the roof looks like it's only going to last 15 years. Oh, your piping is this and that, and blah, blah. Yeah, we decided we're not going to insure you. So State Farm said they would insure me, but if I had a $10,000 deductible. And I went, that's just unacceptable. I got to come up with $10,000 in order for you to fix my roof or my pipes, or if somebody falls and breaks a leg.
Well, California has like a policy that they have to give, but the premium on it is like so high.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. It was a $10,000. I had to give so much, and then it was a $10,000 deductible. I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, but some of like State Farm and some other ones, they're giving some outrageous ones because they don't want to even deal with it, instead of just saying we're not going to do it anymore. But oh man, that's the fun thing about legal, huh? Even in every department.
So what I hope when we talk about insurance is that, Brian, if you go to a school, as long as you don't touch the children and you give them the alcohol for free, it's okay.
First of all, I'm not sharing any of my alcohol with those kids.
That's right. You work hard for that. That is the one benefit of being like a poor artist, is that I am so fearful because, like you mentioned, it's a culture of just suing for this and that. And I mean, I'm dealing with some legal stuff because of my accident from my car crash. So like, you know, I'm on the other side of things and like, it's legitimate, but like, that is just the culture now. And so I can only imagine like something with my artwork, somebody gets hurt, something like that. The positive is that I have zero money. So there's nothing to get from me. So like, I'm almost fearful in a sense of like becoming super successful and having the resources, because I feel like it like paints a target on your back where like people are going to look for a reason to come after your money.
Well, take like Alec Baldwin, what happened to him the other day. You know, the poor guy's just trying to get coffee and they're attacking him for the coffee. And then they recently shared a video of her saying, the woman basically attacked and harassed Alec, saying, you know, hey, fuck him. He's white. He's got money. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the other side of that? Okay, wow. But people will come for you. Yeah, they'll try to, whatever it is. Like, for instance, in my industry, no, I need to say my industry. Wrong. Me. Some people think, oh, he must be flat broke. He makes balloons for a living. And then the people that make balloons look at me and go, that motherfucker can afford it.
Well, it's weird too, because as a fine artist, sometimes people look at my price points and they may have this perception of the life that I live, because I have one piece that's priced, has not sold, but is priced at $100,000.
Yeah.
I have in the past sold as high as 25,000. So sometimes when people see like, oh, I sold 3-4 paintings, people think like, oh, he talks about the struggles of being an artist, but he obviously does pretty well. But what's not factored in is the commissions paid to gallery, the expenses of running the business. I do minimize my overhead, and that's been the key to my business, is minimizing the overhead. But this is kind of one of the last things I want to touch upon while we still have a couple minutes, is doing it in California. Like, as a fine artist in California, with the cost of living here, it is getting tougher by the day to survive here. I paid off my student loans from a private university 10 years early with the money that I made off my art. I put myself through school. Nobody paid for my tuition. I had to put myself through school. I'm the first person in my family to go to college. I drive an old car. I paid it off. I don't have any credit cards. I owe nobody any money. I live with a roommate. I work from home. I can write off part of my space as a business expense. I live about as simple a life as a person can live. And I do move some art. And I am still just finding it harder and harder to survive here in San Diego. Now, you're in LA, and I think that LA is a market that I need to tap into. I'm trying to get back there a little bit. Like, that's where I went to school. But I think that for what you do, it sounds like you are in the right place, because you have tapped into corporate, you've tapped into Hollywood. It seems like you're really just kind of killing it in the industry.
I am, and I'm not at the same time. Because mind you, just like you, okay, you sell one painting for 25,000. But if that's just the one painting a year,
exactly,
that's its thing. And for me, I've got to do what I got to do. It's a struggle to maintain my integrity as an artist, but at the same time, I've got to feed my family. I have a wife and 2 kids, and so just to give you an example. This morning, I accepted a job, basically being a balloon Uber driver, and it paid $150, and that's what I had to do today to put food on the table. You know, am I hoping to sell another $5,000 balloon tomorrow? Yeah, of course, I'd do it in a heartbeat. But the majority of the time, it's you're trying to just collect paycheck after paycheck after paycheck. Well, I would say one of my mentors in this industry coming up back in 2002, he said, I would rather do one $20,000 job than do $21,000 jobs. Now, ask me where he is now.
Out of business?
Out of business. So yeah, there is that. And again, as artists, you know, we want to maintain we're an artist. I'm an artist. Look upon me as an artist. But you got to pay the bills. Art's not going to, you can't eat the art. I can't eat my balloons. So I got to, you know, we got to do other things to fill that need to pay the bills.
Well,
So,
as you were saying that, the thing that I was thinking about is that you do a lot of stuff with a lot of different people in a lot of different industries. And what you're constantly doing is you're networking, you're growing your audience, your visibility. So I imagine that you were probably pretty proactive in trying to get people to leave you reviews, things like that. But the thing that surprises me because of how cool your art is and how much stuff you've done, I'm surprised that you're not bigger on, and you know, who knows how these things work, but I'm surprised that you are just not massive on
I'm surprised.
social media.
I'm also surprised every day. So one thing I noticed, I remember when I first got on Instagram, like some girl put out there, post the photo on Instagram and you'll see it gets like a few likes. Post that same photo and you'll see it gets so many views. Moral of the story, people are watching. I have never been able to break 2,500 followers. And I've been told to, like, hey, the followers don't mean shit on Instagram. But I've never been able to break 2,500. But then if you look at, like, it says oh, here's your analytics, here's this, here's that, stories, it'll say 10,000. It'll say, 15,000. I'm like, so 15,000 people saw my photo and didn't like it? Like, what am I doing wrong? What am I not doing? And then I look
What
at my
are you doing? Because I get nobody that views my stuff. So like, it's such a weird thing. And it goes back to something that I've said before, is that if you have a big audience, like, I don't think that I have a massive, I respect and I appreciate my audience. I have a decent size audience. But for the size audience that I have, I don't always have a lot of people that buy stuff. I don't have a lot of people that always engage. And sometimes I'll post stuff, and with my audience of, like, say on Instagram, audience of 33,000 people, sometimes my stuff will only reach 500 people. So like, when you tell me that with 2,500 you're reaching 15,000, I'm like, the algorithm is trying to screw with all of us, it feels like.
It's clearly messing with all of us. No, like,
Hey,
I have
I was gonna say, before Michael calls us off, whatever. You said something like at the beginning of the show about the cake boss, whatever, right? Do people tell you kind of have, like, I'm pretty sure I gotta find a picture of the guy, but you kind of have a similarity to the guy, look wise.
Really?
Now, what is that? What is Cake Boss? Because I'm not familiar with that.
It's a guy that's like makes cakes for like weddings and that kind of stuff, but he's like a TV show, right?
He shapes them however you want.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, he made a bumblebee cake, meaning the Transformer Bumblebee, but out of cake. So I do that, but out of balloons.
Because you're, I guess, I mean, from the sounds of it, a top tier balloon person. I mean, have you ever tried to reach out to one of those like channels and kind of see if they would do a TV show about you?
So my buddy actually had that show, and you can Google this. It's called The Unpoppables. And my buddy, he's still got a deal going on with, I don't know if it's Learning Channel. I don't know if, what channel he's working with. But basically, so he calls me one day and he says, hey, I got a show. They're going to follow me around. They're going to look at all the balloons that I make. I just need you to make the balloons in the background and come on. And, just be quiet. I go, okay, quiet's not in my nature, but you know what you're getting into. So him and his friends, they're on camera talent. And he goes, all right, we're going to make a fire truck today. And he goes, we're going to make it out of these tiny balloons. And I went, you are? No, absolutely not. You're going to make it. You want it done when? You want it done by, it's Monday afternoon. You want it Wednesday. No, you're using 646s. Immediately the producer's like, Mike Bryan. So they mic me and then, interject my personality here and there. But he had the deal ultimately. And I never heard from those people. But yeah, I've never reached out and said, hey, here's what I could do. And I'm more like, I guess you could say the American Chopper guy, like the dad on American Chopper in terms of balloons. If I had a group of people I was making balloons with, I'd be that guy. I walk in, all right, here's what we're doing today.
Well, that's good for TV, right?
What?
That's good for TV.
Yeah, agreed. But apparently I've still never been called to do that show.
Well, I'm just going to say right now, Brian, when you do eventually get that show, because I do believe that you will, can you find a way to slide me in some fucking capacity, even if it's just in the background or something like that?
First episode's going to be, all right, this is a shit studio. We need Michael Carini's art there, and there.
Well, and hey, I'll look out for you too. Like, I'll keep an eye out for you. Like, I definitely, when we do get off, stick around because I want to talk to you for a minute because I have something like I want to work with you more.
Okay.
You know what it is? I'm looking at a picture. It's just a skin tone. You guys have a very similar skin tone, and you have dark hair. So it's not that similar.
He's Italian, right? Michael, you're Italian?
I'm Italian, yeah.
So my father told me I was Italian. I took a DNA test recently. I found out I'm Mexican. And which, with the last name Potvin, everyone just assumed I was Mexican the entire time. That's the joke. But
is that a Mexican name?
No, it's not.
Okay, because I thought that, yeah, I don't even want to say what I thought. I had no idea.
But the point is, I grew up Italian, raised Italian. Come to find out I'm not Italian. So skin tone is Mexican, not Italian. But
well, I mean, I was adopted, and my adopted father's half Native American, half Mexican. So, I probably think that I'm a few things that I am not, just based off of the way that I grew up. So,
going back to Kickbox, you brought this up, Vinnie. So I have a very East Coast personality, but I was born and raised in LA. And that's what I've been told from multiple people from the East Coast. I get this. You sound like you're one of my people. You don't seem like you're from LA. You seem like one of my people.
Well, I go by Vinnie, so people think I'm Italian, but I'm Mexican Irish. So,
well, I mean, if it'll help you sell a house, Vinnie, you be Italian if you got to be Italian.
Dude, I'll be with it. People think I mean, it was funny when I was living in Afghanistan. One of the I just stopped shaving because there was like no girls on the base, and like so I got like kind of like a beard and kind of thing I was going, and like one of the British soldiers was so adamant thinking that I was an Afghani. And I was like, I'm American, man. I'm American. They're like, no.
Like, no. When you said you were living in Afghanistan, I was like, he sold houses in Afghanistan? Man, this dude is dedicated.
Yeah. Now, they're more tense, but yeah.
Well, geez, I'm going to be living in one of those soon here in San Diego if things don't change, or I'm going to have to use some of my giant canvases behind me. But, I heard that they're cracking down on like regulations about people sleeping outside. Yet more people, they're like, okay, I'm not going to get into politics or anything like that, but I'm just going to say,
please say your rant. Say your rant. It's good for ratings.
Say it.
I mean, just times are tough. We need something to believe in. If you have a dream, go after your dream. Take the chance. I know it seems scary. You feel like you're not ready, but nobody's ever ready. Brian was working a job and was just at a point where he was ready to give up. I was working a job where I was ready to give up, and now we're living our dream. Like, is it easy? No, it's not easy. It is hard as hell. So don't have this misconception that living your dream is easy. You have to make sacrifices for it, but it's possible. But you can work for your dream or work towards your dream, or you can work towards somebody else's.
Well, here's the thing for that. So again, I've been full-time since 2010. I've worked for myself since 2010. Even if I needed to go get another job, I wouldn't even know how to work for somebody else. But
exactly.
My point is, if I continued the job that I was doing, I would have been able to get a house sooner because I would have steady income. I would have a payroll, basically, that I can show my income. my income is considered unstable. It was almost impossible for me to get a home. My realtor, I'm hoping Vinnie does the same thing, helped me figure out how to get my finances in order to qualify for a home. So the thing is, had I worked for somebody else, maybe I would have put a bullet in my brain. I don't know. I hate to put those thoughts out there, but it would have been easier to live. Now, me working on my own for years. In fact, my father, before he passed, still asked me, when am I going to get a job? Now, mind you, I helped him buy the home he was currently living in before he passed. And by I didn't mean I was on the paperwork. I mean, I just gave him money. It's difficult when you do this line of work. You have to you've got to grow thick skin. You've got to, especially if you're going to follow your dream. You know, you're a dreamer. I mean, literally 21 years of doing this, I still get, well, how long are your hands going to work? You know, and a kid will say to me, wow, you're really good at your job. And I go, I need you to call my mom real quick. You know, I need you to, you know, so it's not easy. I don't recommend it for everybody. I mean, you've got to be freaking tough, man. You got to have the drive. It's not going to come to you. You got to get out there. You got to grind. You got to work for it. You got to claw. And even if you have to eat ramen every goddamn night, just keep going.
Yeah, I mean, same for you, Vinnie. You had to do the same, didn't you, to make your business work?
No, it came really easy to me. But on that, no.
I took a class.
I took a class and learned everything in about 2 hours. So it was actually pretty.
At University of Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix.
It's just on YouTube.
Saw a YouTube tutorial.
You know, it's probably one of my YouTube videos because I do all these free artist support talks. And like, there's over 100 of them. And like, people pay money, like a lot of money to go to art school, and I give out the information for free. And these fuckers won't even send me like a $3 donation. Like, buy a fucking sticker from me for like giving the information out. Like, somebody feed me.
I teach at a balloon seminar every year. It's the only balloon seminar I go to. These people come from all over the world. They want to learn balloons. They want to learn how to build my robots, how to build my Christmas trees. They want to learn this. I go, all right, first thing we're going to talk about. Number one, you got to shave. You got to shower. You got to wear deodorant. And they're like, what kind of class is this? I go, I'm doing you a favor. Listen to me. Second, you've got to create an invoice. It's got to have your client's name, time, this and that, blah, blah. And if they agree to it, and I'm doing all this boring business admin stuff. And I'm talking like there are people who get paid thousands and thousands of dollars to teach this stuff. And I'm not getting shit. And half the time I'm getting, make with the balloons already, buddy.
It's a thankless business sometimes.
It is. It is. I'm just trying to watch out for people and they just don't see it that way.
But
Definitely a skill set.
I know we got to take off, but Vinnie, just because we had an opportunity here to cover something, I was hoping that maybe you could for a minute talk about what Brian was talking about, because it's always been my fear too, is that, well, how am I ever actually going to be able to buy a house because my income fluctuates so significantly? Have you had to deal with that with people like us before?
Yeah, well, what are you talking about? Most realtors are the same way. It's profit and losses. I mean,
yeah,
you basically your profit and losses, and what, in essence, what you tell Uncle Sam that you're paying every year. I mean, those are going to be the two biggest things. I mean, as a business owner, I mean, we always try to write as much stuff as possible. So sometimes you're like, okay, well, if you're looking to buy next year, you might have to pull back on what you're writing off, so you can start making more money before you can qualify. But I mean, there's also, other ways you can get creative and get other people in there that are going to rent your property from you and things like that. Like, but for the most part, that's going to be the simplest way: profit and losses, and what you show Uncle Sam.
Because that's been my fear, is like, how am I ever actually going to be able to buy a home or to verify like what my actual income is? It's not always A and B like it is with other industries or people that punch.
Or like waiters. Like waiters and bussers and bartenders, right? I mean, all that cash, they go straight in their pocket, and they're not basically telling Uncle Sam about that. And so when they try to qualify, they're
stated, if you steal something, you need to let the government know.
But with waiters and people that work in that industry, they're at least working and earning something.
They got a baseline, yeah.
When like if you wait tables. Even if you don't make great tips, if you're there 5 nights a week, you're making a little money 5 nights a week. Like I have periods where sometimes I make $0 for almost months at a time, and it is terrifying. But then I'll like sell like 5 paintings, and like I'll be like, okay, well, I kind of feel good, but not really, because really that just helps me cover for the last couple
That's
of months.
considered seasonal income. That's what that's considered. That's what I was considered. So like summertime, spring through summer is my biggest moneymaker. Winter, not so much. And so I'm considered seasonal income.
That's interesting.
So, yeah. I mean, but you could also like I pay myself as an employee too. So, I mean, it's just how you kind of structure it.
I would love to pay myself. I just have no money to pay myself. My boss is an asshole. I am my boss.
Yeah.
But the hand jobs are great.
Yeah, the benefits are fantastic.
When you're on your own boss,
Is that the joke you leave with when you go to schools, Brian?
Oh, wow. Hopefully his insurance carrier is not listening to this.
You know what? I'm starting to realize maybe that policy was embedded because I was invited to career day one day.
So, okay. So I know we got to go, but I do go speak at career day.
Yeah.
Vinnie and I went to high school together, but I do go speak for career day. And every year I'm like, I don't know why they let me come back, because I tell them to ignore their parents, to ignore their counselors, to go after their dream. I use a little bit of profanity. I'm not always politically correct. But I'm very honest in what I say, but I'm just like, there's going to be a time where they're like, thank you for coming in the past, but we just can't do this anymore because it's a liability.
I've done a few career days, and I've stated, it's not for everybody. I'm like, what are you dream about? I want to do this. Not going to happen, buddy. But yeah, it's fun.
So Brian, what are your socials? What is your website? Where can people look you up and look at like the rates for your services if they want to potentially hire you?
I am at Ballusionist on all platforms, no matter what you look. But Ballusionist is spelled BALLUSIONIST, not BALLOO. Balloon IST. Although I was on a major popular YouTube show called Blippi, and that guy, I didn't realize, spelled my name wrong, and that episode's like 3 years old now. And everybody literally cannot find me on the net. And then finally they'll go, oh, it took us forever to find you because he spelled your name wrong. I'm like, I know. Yep.
Isn't Blippi the dog one?
Blippi, he goes to like playground.
That's Bluey. That's Bluey, right? Isn't that Bluey?
Yes. And then the website is Ballusionist as well. And I patented Ballusionist. And this is the thing too. If you're going to start a business, definitely patent your name. Don't just go, I'll do it later. Patent your name. I've had people try to steal my name that have been in Europe, India, Mexico, and they've had no success. So definitely patent your name. Believe in yourself. It's a write-off, number one. But where's the money going to come from? So think of those things when you decide to patent your name. And then before you patent your name, look up your name that you're deciding to patent. Like I explained to the guy in Europe, hey, did you Google the name Ballusionist before you decided to put it on your business card? No. Yeah, well, best of luck. Here's a cease and desist. So, ballusionist.com. Do not spell it balloonist. A balloonist is a hot air balloon pilot, for those of you that didn't know that. Not a balloon twister. Yeah. You can also Google Brian Potvin, BRIAN POTVIN, and you will find me, as well as my credentials in Theater Academy.
Well, Brian, you and I are definitely going to have to do a live feed on Instagram where we open it up for a Q&A for people.
Not a problem. Let's do it.
You stick around. Vinnie, you want to send us out?
Yeah, everyone, please subscribe. Please share. And our live feed usually is on Wednesday, every other Wednesday. And then the podcast comes out usually on Mondays, usually the following week. But either way, if you subscribe, you'll see it when it comes through. Thanks, guys, for listening.